Okay, sweethearts, baby cakes, munchkin buds, and fellow Americans. I hope everybody's having a good day. Today's date is October 12th, 2021, and my name is Leslie Williams. And what I'm going to do in this video, this is video 3 of the Northside 777. Hold on. Gang stalking crimes and trapping the perpetrators. That's going to be the title. So far, this is video number 3 of that video series. All 3 videos and any subsequent videos will have the same title, except they'll have a video. They'll have a number 1 at the end of the first video, a number 2 at the end of the second, and a number 3, and so on at the subsequent videos. Let's see if this video gets interrupted for any reason before I say thank you for listening. Have a good day. Go to Google and research at Google cell phone jamming, cell phone hacking, cell phone tracking, and gang stalking crimes. Now, so what I decided to do in this video was speak a little bit more openly about the crimes of gang stalking. Before I segue into those statements, though, I got to make some preliminary statements that are necessary for you to hear, and you will be able to research them as well. I am literally going to give you 30 seconds right now to get up and go get a pen and piece of paper so you can write down the relevant descriptions, like the descriptions of technologies, the descriptions of certain techniques that they employ. That way you don't have to come back and watch the entire video in order to find something that sticks out to you mentally. But I do strongly suggest you come back and watch this entire video so you can use it as a reference tool. That 30 seconds starts right now. You're not going to really miss anything that's being said while you're gone, getting up and getting a pen and piece of paper. So go and do that right now as I speak. And while you're doing that, I'm going to light a cigarette and do a couple other things that's in front of me right now. And I guess I'll make a fast statement for first-time viewers. If you don't know anything about gang stalking, you need to understand right away that it is not stalking by gangs. Gang stalking is concerning what's reported online, is a crime perpetrated by the government at the federal, state, and local level. The military is also heavily implicated in certain aspects of this crime, as well as fusion centers, corporations, universities. And make no mistake about it, no matter how you become a victim, no matter who puts you on this list that makes you a gang stalking target, all these aforementioned descriptions will work in concert together in order to force and affect this program into your life and onto your psychological well-being and every aspect of your life. Literally. It's literally that bad. So, I do believe that 30 seconds is now up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some preliminary descriptions so that you can see my follow-up statements. All right, hold on one second. I gotta. One of my birds wants me to feed him. Hold on, and plus I gotta backtrack. I'm doing a cognitive reset too because I actually forgot what I was gonna say. Hold on a second. Okay, what was I talking about right before I said get up and go get a pen and piece of paper? Okay, so I was gonna talk a little bit about. Okay, now I remember. All right, now what needs to be initially said, as much and as often as possible when I begin any video, no matter what the subject matter is about related to gang stalking, is one thing you immediately need to know about this crime. Is that this crime, a huge aspect of it, is where this crime will intentionally label any and all gang stalking victims as being mentally ill, putting any type of false mental diagnosis on them. They are also heavy into a lot of health insurance fraud schemes, so they will absolutely diagnose you with throat cancer because you were smoking, but in reality, you actually came down with throat cancer because they were hitting you with electromagnetic weapons to the throat from a remote distance. So, this crime covers its tracks thoroughly and completely and totally. So, one of the biggest aspects of this crime is to intentionally label gang stalking victims as being mentally ill, and that's done for multiple motivations. It's done to discredit the victim on paper, so if the victim ever sues anybody, if the victim is ever hauled before the court after a staged event that led to a staged arrest, they can try and claim that, well, everybody said it was your fault, so I think we're going to petition your mental health records to see if you have any mental health issues so we can get you the help you need. When it's actually nothing but bullshit and a prelude to illegal probate control schemes for racketeering schemes, purposes, insurance fraud scheme purposes, and staged videotaped rapes, literally, once you are placed in a group home through the courts as a direct result of them calling you mentally ill, a threat to yourself or others, and or can't take care of yourself. Now, that's just one aspect of this crime. Okay? And they're heavily targeting people with fixed incomes, fixed pensions, Social Security, disability, people who have fixed retirement benefits, people who have just come into inheritances or are about to, people that have elderly parents that maybe don't have too many years left. Well, they're taking a look at what your parents own. And by the way, my dad just died 2 years ago, and my mom's getting up there in age. You don't think these sick, filthy whores don't know that? Of course they do. Absolutely they do. You better believe they do. Oh, absolutely. I have seen so many posts over the years of gang stalking victims state that the gang stalking of them either started or massively increased as soon as their last parent died. Because when that last parent dies, usually parents will leave you something and or have like a house that's paid for, whatever. Well, these filthy whores are involved in everything from all racketeering, all forms of racketeering and insurance fraud schemes, but they're also after land grabs as well, including mortgage co-opting, equity co-opting, and the whole 9 yards. They're literally into everything you can think of, and things that you would never even imagine. So I wanted to throw that out there because when a victim of this crime experiences 1 crime, 10 crimes, 40 crimes, including torture, and they get pushed to a point in their targeting to where they have completely had enough, and then they can see that what they're currently and have endured is going to absolutely continue, whether you expose them or not, then you might as well expose them. But you need to keep in mind that this crime will take advantage of your exposures. If you don't think the government and their foot soldier police don't have the normal appearing excuses to know you have certain videos on the internet, all of them nothing but lies concerning their normal appearing excuses, so they can take your statements and use it against you to call you mentally ill, think again, because they're nothing but literal lion, sewer rat snakes. That's all they are. You got to understand something about this crime. This crime is perpetrated through the system, working in tandem and covert collusion and cooperation with many other entities, which some of them I've already mentioned. All corporations, libraries, universities, social services, and much more. So if you got that kind of power, how easy would it be to tear apart a victim's life and keep it torn down, and then allow the gang stalking to continue until they can get a hold of the victim? As easy as it is picking up a piece of paper off a table. That's how easy it is to these wild whores. So what I do, being a gang stalking victim, if you state certain things that you cannot prove yet, and you don't, again, let me just real fast reiterate, they can look for 5, 10, 15, 20 different types of normal appearing excuses to claim they know you got videos online. Use your statements against you to call you mentally ill. So if a victim is enduring specific crimes that they can't prove yet, mostly because they're not being allowed to prove them, okay, through medical hospitals and medical centers and medical clinics, and that could be related to non-consensual implantation, electromagnetic weapons torture, directed energy weapons torture, ultrasonic sound bone conduction torture, remote neural monitoring torture, remote neural influencing. They don't allow you to prove that anything has happened to you through any of the technologies connected to gang stalking. That's literally how bad this crime is. And this is no exaggeration, and it's no underestimation either. Okay? That's literally part of how bad this crime is. They do not allow, even when you got in your face, indisputable, in your face, jaw-dropping, in your face evidence, completely indisputable and completely outwardly apparent that it is evidence, they will still claim it's not evidence and not allow it to be processed within the judicial process of a court proceeding. So, if you're enduring massive, extreme crimes through this crime, every crime is just as important as the next one that you may be enduring through this crime. But let's say if you're enduring crimes, some of the most extreme ones, like the electromagnetic weapons torture and the directed energy weapons torture, and where they're literally frying your brain and your organs and your joints and your bones from the inside out, literally, until you come down with the terminal illness, which they'll cash in on too. Oh, absolutely. Then how can you talk about what you're enduring? Could you talk about it in third party? Like in a third party story, like where you're kind of like talking in the third person. Could you detail it in a presentation of a metaphorical story? Well, pay attention closely to my statements. My fellow American citizens, what you're about ready to hear is one of tens of thousands of testimonies of gang stalking victims who are on the internet, on every online platform, every single day, exposing what they're enduring, begging and pleading for help, and not getting 1 millimeter of help from anyone at any time, everywhere. So listen closely. You want to listen very closely, and then I'll discuss what you hear from this tape recorder.
I heard this ring, and I still like a beeping. Yeah, but I think that comes from Millicent's phone being hacked, or maybe it's a call coming through. I don't know. I hear this.
I see. Okay, because I heard this very loud beeping in my ear, and I wondered if it was just local at my end or all of us were hearing it. Yeah, there's no doubt that we are being interfered with right now. This must be a very important subject. I think it is anyway, right? I mean, when you're talking about death and destruction at this level, at this level of magnitude, this level of atrocity, of course it's important. It's absolutely frightening. And I think what's really interesting to me, Millicent, is that this man who's engaging in this ghastly trail of death and destruction on you and in your area, doesn't even bother to hide it. He's sort of doing it way out in the open. There's no trail of crumbs even. It's kind of, look at me, I'm right here. I'm going to stand in front of the coffin now. He's sort of advertising it. So, and I wanted to actually mention when you guys were talking, the thing to remember is this man who is able to do this kind of thing long distance, we are talking about high-tech criminality here. We're talking about a level of technology that most people don't even know exists. Brain interface technology. We're talking about satellite technology, brain-computer interfaces, computer-brain interfaces connected to satellites, connected to high-powered, microwave pulse weapons, etc. And through these means, absolute criminals now have the ability, they actually have the ability to take out anybody they like and to do anything they like to people's brains, which is what is so terrifying currently. And that's why this has to be spoken openly about. That this man could simply, and chips, of course, play a part, right? Because they create those very vital brain-computer interfaces. No doubt, at this point, there's also the reading of BioRes frequencies, which we know the NSA can do according to the John Sinclair Acquai lawsuit, etc. And, remote neural monitoring does not need a chip, etc. Yes, no doubt that, that tech also exists, most probably from everything we are reading. But this notion of having a chip, which is very public domain knowledge at this point, NIH has a whole bunch of experiments on it. MIT has a whole bunch of experiments on it. The CIA's been using it for decades. So you have these little chips, and these chips offer people the ability to hook your brain up to a satellite or to hook it up to a computer. There's a connection. There's a whole system, right, where they're hooked up via computers to satellites. And so what's in your brain could effectively be broadcast to a whole bunch of other people on the other side of the world, and vice versa. Other people could send stuff from their brains into your brain. The stuff is no longer science fiction, and that's really the point I wanted to bring up, that this points to a kind of technology that's so extreme and that can be exploited, and from everything that we are hearing from your case, Millicent, is indeed being exploited.
And the one thing that exactly, it's, go ahead. No, please, you, after you.
Well, I just wanted to say that in a usual, unusual, because organized stalking is unusual situation, though, it's my understanding that the brain of the victim is hooked up to every other brain in the county that they want to monitor that person, or to whom they want to frame that person, so that that person has absolutely no privacy. None. Obviously, if they want to hook you up to everyone else, and whoever is the leader has the capacity to manipulate everyone's hearing, because your voice can be morphed, your thought processes can be morphed, or they can be. I know in my situation, I understand that I'm being real time monitored, so I'm getting his thoughts in my head all day long. We've been in an email thread this week with a lot of other TIs who are receiving communication, right? They're receiving neural communication. Not one of them has said they only hear from one person but me. All of the others say they hear from 3 to 5 people. I hear only one. I've only heard one since 2008. What makes that person special, or what makes me special? Now, when I mentioned him to Dr. Daniel.
Okay, so I'm going to end that right there. Now, I'm completely aware that what you just heard sounded extremely science fiction, but it's not. So I'm going to give you some information so you can go on the internet and you can research these specific descriptions, and you will run across a whole massive amounts of other data that's online. And this stuff is all over the internet. It's exposed in thousands and thousands and thousands of YouTube videos, tens of thousands of blogs, articles in alternative news media. In fact, there's even some countries right now passing laws concerning neural rights, N-E-U-R-O, neurological rights, to prevent biohacking. That's how bad this crime is. Because this crime is actually global. Oh, absolutely. So, I'm going to give you some descriptions right now so you can write them down and research what I state. So, first I'm going to give you the general descriptions. Remote neural monitoring, voice to skull with voice morphing, synthetic telepathy. Let's see, what else do we got? The microwave hearing effect. What else do we got? Ultrasonic sound bone conduction. Directed energy weapons, electromagnetic weapons. But you should also research neural implantation and biological implantation in gang stalking crimes. Biomedical implants, okay? Which also includes WBAN, which is spelled W-B-A-N, which is an abbreviated term that stands for Wide Body Area Network. Okay, which means that there can be a whole slew, even up to 100 or more, implants literally put in the gang stalking victim from head to toe. There's even books about this written, okay? Where there can be up to 100 or more implants put in a gang stalking victim, biosensors, minis, micromotors, nanotechnology, islands implants, nasal implants, ear implants, brain implants, EMG implants, stimulated responsive implants, bladder implants, bowel implants, prosthetic implants, you name it, okay? And what these implants are designed to do is work as a wide body area network, where the implants are serving their own specific function, but working together in a networked fashion and communicate with each other. Because what these little filthy whores are doing, that is monitoring the remote neural monitoring, is that they're taking the readout of what the neurological and biological systems are processing, which also includes what the victim's brain and body is forced to process as a direct result of the community-based harassment connected to gang stalking crimes, and any electromagnetic weapons torture, any sound harassment torture. So you definitely need to research that. Now, when it comes to syncing one person's biomagnetic resonance frequency of their brain to another one, that's already also a done deal as well. It's called brain melding, okay, mind melding, but it's also got a bunch of other different types of descriptions, like synthetic telepathy can be even seen a little bit there concerning that. But basically what it is nothing but the computer-to-brain link and brain-to-brain link. Features and functions of remote neural monitoring. So imagine this. Say you're at a grocery store, and you're standing there and you're talking to a manager about something that takes 10 minutes. And then a homeless guy who's a drunk alcoholic comes in, and he's standing 2 feet away from you. If they got remote neural monitoring in that store, including in the surveillance cameras and or in the computer monitors that are by the checkouts, while his brain is being scanned or already scanned, then his biomagnetic resonance frequency of his brain can be literally infused and attached to your biomagnetic resonance frequency. So, and I trust me when I say I definitely know how that sounds. Make no mistake about it. It sounds extremely science fiction and totally bizarre, but it's happening. So, let's say if you got one person who's got manic depression. Let's say if you got somebody who's got alcoholism or drug addiction. They can take those types of neural networks, because every neural pathway and every neural network that is reinforced through repetition produces what is known as a potentiated frequency output from them. It can be identified, harvested, heterodyned onto their computer, and then what they can do then is take the look at the biomagnetic resonance frequency and any neural network or neural entrained pathway frequencies of another person's brain and put that, type of condition in another person's mind. And then all of a sudden they start, and then when you mix that in, like with Voice to Skull with voice morphine, a person wakes up one day and says, oh, I'm going to go have a drink, I'm bored. And then they find themselves not being able to stop. That's because the alcoholic drunk, his neural pathways connected to his obsessive compulsive behaviors has literally been cloned and heterodyned onto another person. That's literally how bad that is. A person who's got manic depression, the potentiated frequency outputs of those emotional clusters and hormonal balances, hormonal imbalances can be cloned onto your brain. Literally. So go to Google and YouTube and type in Dr. Robert, ex-CIA scientist Dr. Robert Duncan, The Matrix Deciphered. Then you want to go to Google and type this in and listen very carefully. Go to Google search box and type in brain wave frequency list lunar cycle, brainwave frequencies. And then hit enter. And you'll find a website that shows a whole bunch of different lists of dedicated health maladies and their dedicated frequencies attached to them. And then just research the hell out of brain stimulation, brain modulation, brain heterodyning EEG signatures, which are your thinking processes, heterodyning emotional cluster frequencies from one person to another, gang stalking, remote neural monitoring, and you'll find it. It's out there. It's literally out there, as simple as day. So basically, this crime can commit so many different horrific, heinous crimes against a person in order to change and alter and modify that person's behavior into doing things that they would never do, ever. And make no mistake about it, the implants can also play a massive role in assisting in this behavior modification that's being done from a remote distance. You should also know, it's widely reported, that remote neural monitoring can absolutely operate by and through Wi-Fi, including in businesses, anywhere Wi-Fi is at. Hold on one second. So, how could this possibly be related to the movie Northside 777? Well, say if you got a good person, a decent person. In my view, everybody is a sinner because I'm a Christian. And that's what the Bible states, that we are all born into sin and blah, blah, blah. Just hear me out. So, we all know, if you are a Christian, we all know that we're all a sinner. We were born into sin, and I'm not going to get off into a religious context here. I'm just going to make a fast statement, so hear me out. So, in my personal religious belief, I'm a Christian, so we're all sinners. So, a person who might be involved in this type of behavior, no matter what took them into that type of behavior or not, I do not judge. Because you never can tell what might have happened in that person's life that influenced them to make a choice, to try something that they then had problems putting down. I do not judge people at all. I might judge some of their resulting behaviors that they might engage in order to keep that behavior going, yes. But what I'm basically saying is that we are, in one way or another, we are all sinners. I do have a problem with criminals who are out there intentionally committing crimes for the sake of greed and to hurt others and for their own benefit, because when they're committing a crime, they're taking things from people that they did not earn. But just hear me out. So, say if you got a decent person, just somebody who decides to live their life in the most Christian way that they possibly can. They don't sleep around. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. They don't steal. They don't harass people. They don't commit crimes. They're just an average person living their life, and a decent person, right? Well, the same decent person happened to be a single woman who happened to come from a strained relationship with at least one of their parents, and that parent being pretty much the head of the household. So this person is kind of all alone, okay? And the crime of gang stalking discovers this person. And they say, okay, well, this person already fits one of our main category of the type of people we select anyways, single women, so let's pick her. So what they can do is they can wait until she goes to sleep at night and come into her home through many different ways and literally neurally implant her. In the ear, just hear me out. I literally got audio files showing doctors saying this being done. Dr. Hildegard Staninger. Okay, research her book, Brain Implants and Messages, Nanomachines and the Creation of False Memories. Oh, absolutely. Then you should also research remote neural monitoring and memory mapping and memory stimulation. So check this out. So say if you got a decent person, but this decent person is all alone. And she moves into a suburb. And in this suburb is infested with gang stalk crimes, and she don't even have a clue about gang stalk. She don't even know. She's just living her life, just like the average person's out there living their life, and trying to stay above water so, the person doesn't become destitute. They're just there, just like everybody else is there, okay? And the crime group notices her. So what they do is that they follow her home, covertly follow her home, and then they wait until they see all the lights are out. They'll wait till probably even 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they'll gain entry into her home, and they have many, many, many ways they can do this. Trust me, it's all over the internet, where they can implant her in several different parts of her body, in her private parts, in her ear, in her nose, but they can also do these things in doctor's offices, including dentists as well. So she gets an ear implant, okay, and then 2 months later, she maybe just is losing her job or is on the cusp of going through a large portion of her savings because she's already lost a job and can't find one, even though she doesn't know that she can't find one because the crime of gang stalking has already got her blacklisted. So she's about ready to lose her car. It's about ready to be repossessed. She's went through a lot of money paying rent and trying to survive while looking for a job, and now she's got an ear implant in her. Now, you should also know that a lot of the technologies that these sick, filthy whores are using can stimulate anxiety, anger, depression, fear, panic attacks, everything, every health malady that you can, mental health malady you can think of. They can literally stimulate it and or heterodyne it onto you. So they already know this woman's circumstances because they got her monitored 24/7. The goal is the human trafficker. So they already got her private life sabotaged without her even having a clue that they're even in her life in any way. So they created they probably even already created her job loss. She can't find another one. That's being managed by them covertly. And then she loses the car, either through a staged vehicle accident or they have it repossessed through the car dealership. That's how much power these sick, filthy whores have. Literally. Okay? Literally. So she's now a week and a half away from being homeless, and so she starts feeling a lot of anxiety. But is it really her anxiety, or is this anxiety being heterodyned onto her through brain stimulation through remote neural monitoring while she's experiencing voice to skull with voice morphine, where they're literally putting the thought in her head, in her audio cortex, in her voice print to go have a drink? Okay, so let's say this is happening to her right before she loses her car. And then she goes out and she has that drink and she gets set up for a DUI through her staged, organized crime, demonic, filthy, whore-ass cop who's directly connected to gang stalking, who's playing his role in the crime that they're perpetrating against her. So now she's out of a job, okay? She's going through her savings. She's now got to pay the court cost. Now she's got to go to AA, okay, court-ordered. And she's back at home with the same problem. She's a week away from being homeless while they continue the same brain manipulation, the brain stimulation of anxiety, nervousness, anxiety, fear about where she's going to end up at, while they continue to use Voices Call with voice morphine on her to get her to continue to drink. Okay? Now, this is when you look at the movie Northside 777, you see a good, decent cop go into a speakeasy, which is a place they call, it's a type of place they used to call back in the days of Prohibition, where drinking alcohol was illegal, so these little businesses would have, these little places would be opened up where people could go in and secretly drink alcohol. It was called a speakeasy. So this cop goes in to go get a drink, and two guys come in and kill him. In gang stalking, what they'll do is use Voices Call with voice morphine to whisper in your ear, speak easily to them, to influence them to go have a drink so they can be set up for staged rapes, staged gang rapes. As a result of their drinks being drugged with a date rape drug, they can be set up for DUIs. They can be raped after the date rape drug takes effect, and they get arrested, and then they can be raped by the cops and the fire department personnel, and then taken to the hospital under the guise of passing out because you drank, to set you up for human trafficking through AA. So, you know, Northside 777, does it have multiple meanings? You need to pay attention to video 1 and video 2. This is video 3. Why do I have a laser surgery scar behind my right ear and probably one behind my left? I've never had consensual surgery in my entire life, except one time when I had wisdom teeth pulled back in back in 1984. It's the only surgery I've ever consented to. And I'm not consciously aware of any surgery, okay, that's happened to me. So how do I have non-consensual remote neuromonitoring eye lens implants in my eyes? Biofilm, light crystal, ocular eye lens implants in my eyes, which are openly shown in many videos dedicated to the YouTube account you're watching this video through. How the fuck did they get there? And why do I got laser surgery scars behind my ears? Why do I got over 5,000 stamped screenshots showing my ultrasonic sound, my ultrasound detector app, picking up extremely high levels of ultrasonic sound at wooded areas, this crime made me homeless, and at places along my routes? Let me tell you something right now. A phone app, an ultrasound phone app, is not going to pick up ultrasound unless ultrasound is in the environment. So research ultrasonic sound bone conduction torture in gang stalking. So you consider this video free, and I'm going to probably make many more videos. What did I say at the beginning of this video? You have to cleverly tell your story. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned to video 4. It will be made in the near future.